8-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face. Blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Such sights to show you. We'll tear your soul apart.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Glenn, Samantha Thomas from Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and you are now watching Death Curse Society. Bye.
Son of a bitch! Rock and roll! 6 o'clock already, it was just in the middle of a dream. I was kissing Valentino by a crystal blue Italian stream. But I can't be late, 'cause then I guess I just won't get paid. These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. I don't have to run day. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. It's just another manic Monday.
Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Death Curse Society's Monday Maniacs. I'm Red Crank. I got Zigzag. What's up, Ziggy?
What the hell? Hey, we're a little light in here. What's going on? There's extra room in here tonight.
I know.
Oh. Well, there you have it.
Well, we're missing the Colonel, and the Colonel will get well soon. He wasn't feeling all that great this afternoon and evening, so he may jump in with us a little bit and ask a couple of questions of our guest here. And,
I predict he will. The itch will get to him, and he will jump on at some point with us. So he'll be here.
We'll see. We'll see. He may be watching right now, so
Yeah.
get better, Colonel.
He did not heed his own advice. Don't get sick.
He's not sick. He's not sick. He's just not feeling great. So.
Right.
Looks like most of the gang is starting to file in as required. Thank you, folks. We got Lorena here, Patricia, Corey is here. Well, part time anyway. He says he's working on the side job.
I see.
Support while he can.
Thank you, sir.
Adam's here. BK, Chris, and Carrie. And yeah, and there's S. Michael. All right, good. Most of the gang is there.
Wrong button. I don't have my other one. My hard drive, my portable hard drive is still in my suitcase from the trip last week, and I just haven't brought it out. So yeah, these keys are a little foreign to me right now. I'll get it though before the night's out. Don't worry.
I got you. Here in just a few minutes, guys, we're going to be joined by the writer-director of an upcoming fan film called The Sawyer Massacre, which is a unofficial prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we're going to dive deep into, well, as deep as we can before the movie comes out.
Right.
With this writer-director. And I'm looking forward to it. I love doing interviews. You guys know this. My old journalism background, like, really pops up and I hope shines whenever we do these kind of things.
Yeah.
Ziggy's radio background comes out.
Yes. Hey, we love doing these two, and hopefully this guy's been on the circuit doing these things, Q&As all over the fucking place. Hopefully we've come up with some questions he has not heard yet. That's what I'm hoping.
Hopefully.
Yes. I have faith in us, though, Crank. I do.
We
usually shine here.
I do, too. Before we get to that, though, need to thank our members. There we go. Yep. When it's only two of us, it covers us up a little bit. Special thanks to our final girls and guys: Corey, Chris, Lorena, Christy, Luke, S. Michael, Patricia, Tanya, and Tyrone. Of course, our crazy Ralph, Raymond, and our camp counselors: Stacy Lynn, Orlando, Kiara, and Dave.
It applies. It works. Yeah.
You're funny. All right. One last thing, Ziggy, how was your week? Did you watch anything interesting?
Yeah, I started getting into that day shift, man, and actually I fell asleep before it finished. But I can't wait to go finish it, man. It's really good for got just enough in it. I thought it's funny. It's a kind of a dark comedy, if anything, but it's good, man. It's got some good effects, and I can't wait to see how that one ends. But yeah, just kind of readjusting to life, after last weekend, and it's all good, man. We're reaching out to folks. We're fine. We're going to be out there in your face, somewhere in a place that's going to be great. I can't wait to tell you about it. That's all I can say right now.
Exactly. I did watch Day Shift as well. That was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. I think I watched it first and then told you guys, hey, don't sleep on this one. So I'm glad you guys are catching up with that. I normally don't like horror comedies, as we've discussed.
Yes.
But this one is a good mix, and I don't mind it as much, And they're not trying overly hard to do the comedy, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's not like you don't have to think for it either. It's not subtle like The Dead Don't Die with Bill Murray and shit like that. This is pretty straightforward. So.
But I really dug The Dead Don't Die. So
I did too. But I'm saying that one you had to kind of, what the hell is going on here for a minute? Then you're like, it's fine.
Exactly.
Fuck about our guest tonight too. I'm excited because here we're doing a fan film. It's not Friday the 13th, which is fucking rare around here, man. Right. So that's really cool too. Love seeing the Sawyer family getting some love and representation in the fan film world. So that's going to be fun.
Absolutely. You know what? Let's just dive right into it. We don't have, since Colonel's not here, we don't have to jump into football or anything yet. We don't have to do the DCS sports beat. So let's just jump into it and get this going. All the way from, I think this is our fourth Canadian guest, all the way from Canada, the writer-director of the upcoming Sawyer Massacre, Mr. Steve Merlo. How are you doing tonight, Steve?
Oh, just wonderful. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm your fourth Canadian guest.
We
That
love
means
the
I believe
Canadians.
so.
You've had the
We
entire
love the
population of Canada now.
Now,
No,
are you in
That's a bad
British
joke.
Columbia? Is that where you're at?
Yes, British Columbia, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we've had Dave McRae on, and then his partner, his writing directing
Bruce.
partner, and then one of our fans or one of our viewers that came on and competed, a guy named Dave. I don't know if Dave's watching or not, but if he is, he'll be posting the Canadian
Oh,
flag
yes.
repeatedly throughout the comments. It's
Very patriotic.
It's kind of funny that way.
There
And
you
I'm
go.
close to Canada. I'm in Michigan, man, so I'm right there.
Oh, yeah, not too
You know,
far.
throw a
Oh,
stone.
come
A
on.
ways
that
for
doesn't
me,
count.
though.
Yes. British Columbia, so Vancouver Canucks.
You betcha.
There you go.
Unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to talk crap. I kind of mess with Dave a little bit in his Maple Leafs, just a little bit.
Oh,
being
yeah.
a Red Wings fan, because I'm scarred. I'll just say it real fast. I'm still scarred from 1993 when the Maple Leafs defeated my Red Wings in Game 7 on my home ice in my presence when I was there, and I've never quite forgiven them for that.
Well, Red Wings have
Right.
won enough. My dad's a Red Wings guy, so and has been for life. Tried to convert me to be a Red Wings guy, and it didn't work. But yeah, I don't feel sorry for Red Wings fans at all.
No.
the years.
And
They've won enough.
I'm humble now, and I'm, obviously we would love to have more and stuff like that. But our guys working, another Canadian, Steve Yzerman, rebuilding the team in his eyes, and it looks pretty good. The future. I'll leave it at that.
There you go. Good old Stevie Y.
We're here to talk about scary stuff, and
Yeah, not sports, not hockey.
I
I
thought-
love
yeah,
to
I
talk
thought we
about
were-
hockey, but
every time we get a Canadian, I gotta do the obligatory hockey stuff because of the Red Wings history. I don't know. I'm an asshole that way.
that's all good. That's all good.
Yeah, I thought we weren't doing the DCS sports beat, but I guess we did anyway. So
We did
I'm finished.
anyways.
I need to log in that that opener that we can throw out every now and then. Anyway, Steve, I wanted to talk to you first. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? How you fell into love with horror, and what drew you into filmmaking?
Well, what do I do for a living? Well, I'm an artist, so employed.
There you go.
No, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm actually a stay-at-home dad, so I
Okay.
have the flexibility to do all this artistic stuff, however I want to, and sometimes I make money at it, and sometimes I don't. So, but essentially, yeah, that is what I do for a living. I guess you could say that if you call it a living.
That's good.
But I've been a professional musician for many years now. Started playing gigs in bars, and then getting up to weddings and different special corporate events. I made pretty good money doing that, and then I opened up my own music school in the late 2000s. Did that for a while, and then I want to try new things, so I thought, let's get into filmmaking. And been doing it close to 10 years now, just mostly for fun. I've had the odd gig on a bigger film. Unfortunately, here it seems like all we get are Hallmark films. So, but hey, it pays the bills sometimes. Pays the extra bills we need to get paid. So, I don't mind doing it from time to time. But much prefer rather doing my own stuff. That's for sure.
Well, an invaluable experience on a set like that.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
That can't be measured. I would think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you can always learn something new. That's for sure. So, no matter what kind of set you're working on.
I'm actually in Oklahoma, and lately it seems like since we've started doing more tax incentive benefits through our film commission, we've been getting not a bunch, but we've been getting more and more opportunities to be able to work on film sets and different series that get shot here from time to time. So,
well, that's good. That's good.
I haven't personally done too much in the last 20 years or so, but I was kind of the one of the go-to film commission contacts for just, hey, we basically need a gopher, like an all-around guy on the set. I'm like, I'm off this weekend, I'll be there, why not? Yeah,
there you go. Perfect.
Well, what drew you to horror? What films when you were growing up did you like in the horror realm?
Well, I mean, a fair amount. I mean, what drew me to horror? I guess you could say I mean, I like all types of film, but there's something about horror. I feel like I could add to. I guess you could say. I feel like I have something to. I have my own voice to add to horror. So, I guess that's ultimately why I chose to do horror. I've dabbled in other genres, but horror seems to be the one I keep coming back to. I keep getting told that I do it well, so I'll do what I'm told, I guess. And you know, I have fun doing it, so why not? You know, why not? And you know, if I get big enough someday, maybe I'll do a fantasy sci-fi thing if I ever get a chance. We'll see if I ever have enough money. But you know, I like horror. I like doing horror. So, what was the other part of that question again?
Well, was there a certain franchise beside? I mean, was there something different about Texas Chainsaw that you liked better than some of the other franchises? Or...
Sure. I mean, I can. I think the Halloween franchise was the first franchise to really get me into horror. I was 8 years old when Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, came out, and that was my first time seeing Michael Myers, and I'd never seen this guy before. I'd seen commercials with Jason and Freddy, and you know, nothing against those guys, but they weren't really scaring me. Whereas Michael Myers was the first horror character to actually. I thought I looked at the guy and thought he was pretty terrifying. So I didn't really get into Texas Chainsaw Massacre right away. It was just one of those things that was always kind of talked about, but we never got the full information about. You always heard the title, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I think I was pretty young though when I did see my first image of Leatherface, and you know, it was just a picture. I think it was just a picture of him. I think it was at my cousin's house or something like that. Very, very young. I can't even really remember too well, but I just remember he looked terrifying to me. But there was always like, this one has gone too far. So, you know, as I got older, I wanted to know why this movie had gone too far, or why it was banned in countries, and you know, why this one was more extreme than Halloween or Friday the 13th or whatever, right? So it just got my curiosity. So I had to know more about this Leatherface character and how bad this movie really is, and you know, yeah. So I mean, when I was young, and I think I finally saw it when I was about 12. At least I saw most of it. I don't know if I saw the whole thing. And I just remember being a little bit bored the first time I had seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But there were still moments that still stuck out in my head. So, you know, it still stuck with me. But, I mean, you know, all through my teens, the Halloween franchise was really my favorite. I mean, especially the first 4 movies in the franchise. Right. So, I mean, although I didn't like Halloween 3 back then, now I love it. No,
I was just going to say, man, you said the first 4. I was just going to say, damn, you're giving love to 3 nobody ever did at first. You know, of course, now we recognize it. It's great.
When I was young, I was like, where's Michael Myers? And now it's I'm like, okay, this is a Halloween movie, not a Michael Myers movie. And you know, as I get older, I appreciate it more and more and more and more. So
when he says he was giving love to the first 4, he meant 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
No, I don't give love to 5.
You know,
all right, fair enough.
It's I don't know, man. It's like, it's not really a bad flick if you look at the whole thing. But man, I can't get past the mask. It's so fucking weird in that one. You know, it's so such a departure from 4. And even that one's a little bit weird because obviously they got us with the poster with the original mask, and
see, that didn't bother me so much because I first saw the TV spot, and you get this new version of Michael Myers literally everywhere in that TV spot. So I didn't see the poster first. I saw the TV spot, and that was my first viewing of Michael Myers. I know that the mask looks nothing like the original mask, but there's still something creepy about it to me. There's still something creepy about the Halloween 4 mask. So maybe it's nostalgia for me, but I really like the Halloween 4 mask. I don't like the Halloween 5 mask, and I don't like the H2O mask and the resurrection mask. I don't know. Yeah, they don't even black out the eyes anymore. They weren't even doing that anymore, and that kind of I never understood why they decided not to do that, because that was kind of a trademark.
You know,
But that's okay.
H2O, they had to have the eyes there for the end, but then
you know, and I'll
that ending
stand
up.
by it. If that had been the actual real ending to the whole Halloween franchise, I would have been fucking good with that ending, because that was heavy, man. That was good stuff. And then ambulance driver, come on, man, get.
Yeah.
But you said part 4 was your first exposure there. There are some really heavy scenes in that, like with the lightning flashes and everything. Yeah. Whoa, you know, and chasing a little kid like that hit home.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already, you know, quite a bit older than that, but I did see the original at that age in a theater like that.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And it was the same type of thing, man. They put me on the path where I am now, you know, because of that. And
yeah.
Never unforgettable.
Oh, yeah.
I see a couple of comments coming in with some questions. I'll get to those here in just a few minutes, guys.
Line them up, folks.
We gotta build up for this. But last thing I want to ask Steve about Halloween, though. You were 8 when you saw Halloween 4 for the first time.
I didn't see it. I saw the TV spots.
Just the TV spot.
I didn't even see it. In fact, the very first Halloween movie I saw was Halloween 3. On Halloween night, I think I was 10 or 11 years old when I saw that. But I mean, you can finish your question, but that's the truth. I didn't see Halloween 4 right away. I saw Halloween.
My question was, since you were around the same age, probably I was when I saw Halloween 4. Did you also just have a huge crush on Danielle Harris when you saw her?
At the time, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
no.
Yeah, I guess I guess you could say I did. I mean, I was a kid though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I don't know. I think as I got older, I got more of a crush on Rachel.
There you go.
Ellie Cornell. As I got older, and of course, I think that's another reason why I don't like Halloween 5. Is they just I don't like Halloween 5 for that reason.
Fair enough. Ziggy, do you have a question about the early days for him yet, or?
Well, I'm just looking. You know, I was gonna say. I mean, we binge watched your body of work that we can see. You know, as far as the horror stuff goes. You know, so we watched the first annual barbecue. We watched Unseen. We watched Disorder.
You probably could only find the really short version of first annual barbecue.
Yeah, it was only about
under
10 minutes
under
or so.
10 minutes, yeah.
Yes.
So that was like a really condensed version. It's actually about 30 minutes. I actually found it on a USB stick recently. I'm going to post it probably after my new movie, the Sawyer Massacre, releases.
Whatever it's called.
Whatever my new film's called. Yeah.
Absolutely, and please make sure we get the links. We'll share the hell out of that. Get that out there too. You know, it's decent, you know. I mean, but your influences. What I saw was a reoccurring theme as I watch your movies. You have a preference for the stalker types. I sensed Maniac. I sensed, you know what I mean, like Black Christmas, big time.
Black Christmas, I got from.
I love Black Christmas.
And obviously Michael Myers.
Yeah,
you know, but
I love those types of films.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows through there. I mean, with these stories you chose, but I was digging like some of your shot choices, the reflections and the windshields and stuff like that. Man, this is really good. This guy's got an eye, man. So coming up to this one, the story.
Good people though too. I've worked with some really good people, so I know what shot you're talking about.
Yes,
and yeah, I mean that was. I mean, yes, it was my film, but I got to give credit to the cinematographer on that one because I had no idea how it was going to be pulled off. No idea. And when he's telling me how he's going to pull it off, I was like, really? You know, so I give credit where credit's due. That was the great William Amendola. I don't know where he's been lately, but he was in Squamish last time I talked to him, and he's a good cinematographer. He's great.
I'll stand by it. I saw it. The other thing was just the way. Oh boy, I just had what I was going to say and I blew it.
That's
get
okay.
back on. Go ahead, Crank, while I reformat this.
All right. Well, like Ziggy brought up, you mentioned the first annual barbecue, and I kind of in my research, according to some of the sources that I saw, this was kind of where the genesis for the feature-length idea for the Sawyer Massacre originated. And how did you approach the rewriting of that and then expanding it into a feature?
It's kind of funny, like actually, because the first annual barbecue was originally written as a feature. It was actually pretty long, page-wise. It was 98 pages, I believe.
Okay.
And when I made it, I didn't have enough money to film all that stuff, and I said, "How do we condense this into like 25 pages?" So we condensed it into 25. I got rid of a lot of characters, and we just did the best we could with what we had. But ultimately, I mean, that original script for first annual barbecue was a first script that I had ever written. I really didn't know what I was doing, and I think I needed to learn how to write better, learn certain things to know what I was really missing, because I was never happy with the end result of that. Even though I understand I condensed it down quite a bit, and there's only so much I was going to be able to do. I'm glad that I was able to come back to it at a point where, things were starting to make sense for me as a writer, that I had gone away and written other screenplays like Unseen and Disorder and other ones. And I was able to, hone in my craft a little bit. But even still, as I was writing the Sawyer Massacre, I was still having some troubles. There was something missing. I always knew that there was something missing. There was a disturbing element, is what I want to call it, that I could never crack the code on. I was like, I needed this, because this is what's missing in this film. And I always look back to the remake from 2003, because I walked out of that movie feeling like that was really missing something. There was certain things that it hit really well, but other things it really missed on. And I knew that it was missing something. I'm like, I can't miss what they're missing. So once I figured out what it was missing, it pretty much wrote itself. And I'm glad I figured it out. I'm glad I figured out what it was missing.
Nice.
Because I didn't want to just go back and, wouldn't it be a big reveal to find out these guys are cannibals, near the end of the film? Wouldn't that be like so intense? Nobody would see that coming. But it's been done. It worked the first movie. It worked. Right. It was great in the first movie. I wanted that moment. I wanted that moment where Grandpa's sucking Sally's finger. But it couldn't be the same moment. I needed something else that was going to be like, I'm
so happy you said that, because that is the one thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you're pretty much, when you're watching that movie, you're curling up on a chair. You're just so like, Jesus Christ, it's so intense and in your face, So
exactly.
Hearing you say that, and recognizing that something's missing, and even in the 2003 one, you're saying that.
Yeah, and a lot of people love it, and I'm so torn on that movie, because I feel like it's like this close to being a great film. It's this close, but it just, Arlie Ermy was great in it. There's some amazing cinematography, but other things that bring it down is some of those characters are a little bit. I don't believe they're from the 1970s. Those kids, they're so 2000s with their lingo and everything like that, and their costume design. But even putting that aside, it's just I need that extra element to the Sawyer family. It's going to, you meet these guys at first, and then at a certain point, we find out something that's about these guys that's disturbing as hell. And we didn't even get the cannibalism in that 2003 remake. These guys were just killing people because they're rebelling against society or something. So I don't know. I felt like that's a weak angle. I needed to be a lot stronger than that in my angle. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want that to be where I went with it. It had to be something that was, fairly disturbing anyways. So, and I think I did that. But I just did. And cannibalism is there in my script. It's there, but it's not heavily. We don't lean on it too heavy. But it's there.
Shouldn't have to say this, but spoiler alert, anybody, if you haven't seen any of these.
Here's the thing, though. if people don't know the Sawyer family are cannibals by now, that's the thing. It's not
That's
really
their own damn
spoilers
fault.
anymore.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost it would have been a spoiler if somebody had told me that there wasn't cannibals in the remake, that they weren't cannibals in the remake.
No.
So that was kind of, when you watch
he's
that
a
film, I'm
vegan
like,
now.
oh, he's a vegan.
Yeah, he's a vegan now. I will throw this comment up just because it's directed directly towards you. From Peter Anthony, what's up, Steve and DCS?
Hey,
Congrats
Peter
again
Anthony.
to you and the cast. Can't wait to see the final product. Peter's an old buddy of ours.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Peter's an
We,
associate producer on our film, and
Yeah.
all around wonderful guy. He's been very supportive. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well,
Wish you could
all
make
right.
it to the premiere. I do.
Yeah. I wish I could make it to the premiere. I'm starting to look at it, and I don't think I'm going to be able to, man. I
Texas,
know
Don't worry about it.
we had chatted about it, but it's not too far away from me, but it's right in a weird weekend for me, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. So, all right. Before we get into your film, last thing I want to ask you, what's your least favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, and why? And what did you think of Netflix's recent Legacy sequel that they did? And are you excited for more in that storyline? There we go.
I mean, it depends on what you call a sequel. Are we counting
any of the entries.
the requels? The requels?
Yeah,
as
retread.
well?
Any of the entries, basically.
Reboot, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
I will. I have to say this. I know that it has its fans. This movie has its fans, but I'm not one of them. And no matter how much I tried, I can't like this movie in any way. I can't even like it on a funny way. And it's Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Oh,
Mm.
I thought you were
I
going to say
understand.
2.
No.
Well, I don't care much for that one. But I can, but not it's not at the level of Texas Chainsaw 3D. I'll say that much.
No.
There's so many flaws in Texas Chainsaw 3D. Honestly, the timeline thing is not a big issue to me. It's all the other terrible stuff that's in that film. I mean, the timeline issue is an issue, but I can look past it, kind of. I can't look past the really bad dialogue, the really bad acting, the weird plot decisions that were the character decisions that happen in that film are like beyond ludicrous. They picked up that hitchhiker guy, and they decide they're going to go out and leave him at the mansion all by himself.
Yeah.
You just met this guy, and you're going to leave him at the mansion. That's just one example, of course. But I wanted to like this movie. I really did. I even went and saw it in 3D, which, by the way, I think I only had the option of 3D. I don't know if you guys did in the US, but here in Canada, it was Texas Chainsaw 3D, and there was no 2D, so you had to pay the extra for that ticket, which I thought was a ripoff. Because I
think when it first came out,
even good. The 3D
Right.
wasn't even very good.
Is that the one Adam wrote?
Yeah.
And then, but then they
they butchered the shit out
they
of it after
butchered what he
he
wrote.
gave
He
him
said, that ain't my movie.
Yeah. I've heard that. I heard. I mean, I don't know Adam Marcus personally. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook and stuff like that. But that's the thing. These studios will take your script and they'll tear it to pieces.
They will.
I don't ever want to sell my script to a studio because, I mean, I feel bad for any of the writers of these films that have had negative response, and they get blamed. They're the ones that get all the blame. All the writing is the problem. No, it was the way the studio pretty much rewrote the entire script.
Yeah.
But put the writers' names on it only. That's
Yeah.
It is what it is, man.
It
is what it is.
Take the check and then use that whole Alan Smithy credit to get out of it if you need to. What about the Netflix entry? Did you like the one from last year? And do you like they might be doing more of that one?
I found aspects of it enjoyable. It was kind of fun to watch. I think that the shorter length probably did it a good service, because if it was too long, it probably would have definitely lost a lot of the fun that it had. At the same time, I can't say it's a good film. It has some good things, hey, Leatherface has a real massacre in this film. It's probably the first one where he truly had a real 10 plus kills in a film. That's probably the first one, anyways. But apart from Leatherface, I mean, again, weird plot stuff going on here.
You have to suspend some belief and some of the traditional tropes of the previous films to get into this one. Yes.
I mean, how many times did Leatherface get shot with a shotgun at point blank range? And he this 70-year-old guy is doing pretty good.
Yeah.
He's moving pretty well. I don't know. It felt like we're turning Leatherface into Jason at this point. I think that's I don't like it personally, but I also don't like that they shot it in Bulgaria. To me, it's an obvious thing that it's not shot in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've only been to Texas once now, so I'm a total expert on Texas. But no, I mean, sure, there are some shots that maybe do look like Texas, but I think the worst thing is the actual set that they were filming on. It looks like a 1950s Universal type of
oh yeah,
Western.
Yeah, it looks
set
like an
for,
old
a
back
Western
lot.
movie.
Yeah, Gunsmoke, fucking Gunsmoke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that all the money you had? Was it really that low of a budget? And I look online, it said it had a $20 million budget. I'm like, where did that money go? I don't get it. But
there was some good. I agree with you. There are things I liked about it, and honestly, the best part of the whole thing was when he came running out of that alley. That was the most intimidating fucking part for me. I was like, "Whoa, all right." Now they did a little more of that kind of stuff, and the brutality of it. I mean, that would have ramped it up for me. But yeah, it just didn't have
Sally
it.
coming back was pointless.
Wasted. It
was, very, very wasted. You could have taken her out of the script, and it wouldn't. The story wouldn't change at all. And again, poor, really weird dialogue choices. Say my name. Remember when she said that? Say my name. Like he's going to know your name. He may have heard her name once in the original. Leatherface may have heard, and the chainsaw was probably being ramped up at that time when Frankly said, "Sally, I hear something stuck." That's the only time he would. And you really think he would have remembered that after 48 years?
Or read in the paper. You know what I'm saying? It just, I with you 100%.
They want to make all these returning legacy characters, though, like the Sarah Connor of their franchise, is what, and that.
Well, they saw
for
Laurie
some that works, for some
up.
it doesn't.
Yeah, came back for Halloween. Laurie back again. We just pretended that it didn't happen 20 years ago, and
exactly.
It's 40 years. Hey, look what they did. We can do that too.
Yeah.
They did it because Halloween 2018 made a crap ton of money at the box office. And in fact, I think it holds like a horror world record, right? A record in horror films. Like the most, it made the most more than anything.
Yeah, for an opening, I think. Yeah,
for an opening,
or something like that.
So it was huge. I mean, it was huge. It's something like 350 million or something like that, right? So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are two very, very different films, and I love them both. I love both films. I love the original Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're both top 3 films for me, and Black Christmas being the other one. But they're very different. They're very, very different, and I think we have to acknowledge. You have to look at that when you're trying to copy what somebody else is doing. So I know it's very formulaic though with Hollywood.
Halloween, let's see here, 2018, $10 million budget, and went on to gross north of $256 million.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Opened at 76.2. There's the opening.
The opening was the big one, I think. I remember
76.2.
Yeah. That's pretty huge. Pretty huge.
For horror. Yeah.
For horror, especially. Yeah.
And with a $10 million budget too.
Oh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. Well, the Sawyer Massacre is going to be debuting later this month, right? Less than 2 weeks, August 26th, right?
August 26th, and at the Austin Cinemaker Space in Austin, Texas. Looking forward to going back there and seeing a bunch of the people that I worked with. Not everybody, unfortunately, not everybody can make it, but definitely excited to see it. I hoping people like it and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty exciting.
And then it'll be released in October. Is that correct? For
yes, on YouTube.
YouTube.
Okay. What date is that, if you know?
October 21st.
Or have you said it yet? 21st.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
The date is actually at the end of our trailer that we dropped about 4 weeks ago, about a month ago.
Okay. Well, the synopsis for, if you guys haven't caught up with the Sawyer Massacre yet, while recovering from the loss of someone close, Jimmy's friends bring him to the Texas countryside to escape city life. In need of supplies for their cabin, they ascend to a gas station where they are directed to find their supplies at an isolated farmhouse. The property is not as it seems. They find themselves hunted by a cannibalistic psychopath with an arsenal of violent tools at his disposal. In the end, any that do escape his clutches will wish they hadn't. So yeah, good setup. Not overly, like, not a whole lot going on. It seems pretty simple as a setup, so that's one thing I like about it. For you, why was the decision made to make a prequel as opposed to a sequel?
You know, I think after watching the remake, knowing that was a remake, and I was starting to come up with the ideas then, a prequel always just kind of seemed to fit best for the ideas that I was having. So that's essentially why I made it a prequel. And then as when I went back to it for writing the Sawyer Massacre, I started looking at the legacy characters, especially Grandpa, because I didn't want to recreate the same Grandpa that we had from the original. I wanted to make it that he was young enough to actually have some dialogue. So he's still old, but he's got dialogue, and his dialogue to actually carry some weight. It actually means something pretty important. And then another reason was I always kind of loved the idea that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was always kind of a reflection of the time it took place in. It was a lot of the turmoil that was happening in the U.S. in 1973 played out in that movie in subtle ways. So I wanted to do something kind of similar to that, but I wanted to find a time period that I not only could find reflections of that time period, but also make it sort of relatable to today. And then COVID hit, and that wasn't really hard to do at all. Then I'm looking at dialogue I had already written. I'm like, oh my God, look at this line that Grandpa says. It's like everybody's going to think it's COVID related. I wrote that line before COVID even hit, because I wrote it in 2019. And so you'll know it when you see it in the movie, but you'll be like, oh my God, that's got to be a statement on COVID. But it really wasn't at the time. But then COVID hit, and then it was like, it totally makes sense now. It's got that contrast between 1965 and today, and I think it's a good balance. But again, I try to deliver it in a subtle way, so it's not so in your face. But you'll hear little lines and see little things that happen that are meant to be a reflection of that time period, and also coincide with a lot of the crap that's happened today too.
Okay.
It's a prequel to obviously the original. Now, did you kind of just watch the original and just say, all right, I'm going to tie this to this, and just, or is there going to be nods or maybe Easter eggs? You don't have to get specific to the other entries in the franchise that we had leading up, or are we just we're looking at that 1973, 74 era, and this is what they're going to become, so we're going to tie it to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's tied to the original only, but there were certain aspects of the remake that of course that I really liked, that I tried to honor a little bit. There are some nods to the remake, not a lot. I think there was one that somebody pointed out to me in the trailer that was actually more or less accidental, but maybe in my subconscious it was there. and that was the tooth. The girl picks up the tooth on the ground in the trailer, and somebody's like, "Oh, that's from the remake." When the girl's like, "Is this somebody's fucking teeth?" I'm like, I totally forgot all about that scene. But it makes sense, so I can totally see why somebody would think that was in honor of that moment in the remake. But I actually forgot about that scene. So
Nice.
but again, subconsciously, maybe that's why. But in the original, Kirk puts a tooth on her hand, on Pam's hand too. So it could all be kind of, I don't know. There's something about teeth. There's something about teeth. By the way, the tooth that we used in our movie was a real human tooth. Just in case anybody cares, it was a real human. It was actually our production designer's tooth. She had it pulled like 2 weeks before. She had to get it pulled at the dentist, and she's like, "I'm using it for the movie. We're using it."
Authenticity.
So we did.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, soaking into your craft when you do something like that.
Oh yeah.
Let me hit one of the couple of the viewer questions. Maybe Patricia wants to know, who is your favorite Sawyer family member?
Ooh, it's always close. Oh man, there's Grandpa, and then there's Grandpa. There's the hitchhiker. There's Leather. I don't know, man. It's tough to choose one. I love the hitchhiker because he's so insane, and he's a realistic insane. This is one thing I don't like about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. You got Chop Top, and I know he's got his fan base, but he is so cartoony that I could never believe that character existed. Whereas, what Ed Neal did with the hitchhiker was just so visceral, so real, that it becomes so believable. It's not cartoony. It's just really, really insane. And so I don't know if I would say he's my favorite family member, but man, it's between him, Grandpa, and Leatherface for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough choice. I don't know if I could choose.
I like that though. I like the comparison of the hitchhiker to Chop Top, but the thing about Chop Top, you're right. When I think about it, he's absolutely over the top, almost cartoonish. But I mean, man, when he's sitting there with that fucking hook, scraping his own skin off with the lighter and eating it, that was disturbing to me, man. When I watched that, that really got to me. I was like, damn, I would hate to run into this fucking guy,
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know. He never did it for me, though.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, though. I mean, he is way over the top. How goofy and hippie he is,
Yeah, I know. Tobe Hooper was going for a totally different film with the second one. He made a totally different film. So kudos to him, I guess. I don't know. He did what he wanted to do, but it's so different. That overall, I mean, Leatherface is so different in that film too. I mean, I don't know who
it lacks that grit of the first one.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah, and it amazes me that both of those movies are made by the same director, you know? And that is there was a famous credit to Toby's.
Yeah. There was a famous critic when Texas, I can't remember who it was, but he said something along the lines when Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 came out. He said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 doesn't look like it was not only made by the same filmmaker as the original, but also somebody who had never seen the original movie. So I don't know who that. I can't remember who that critic was, but I always remember hearing that, and it kind of feels true. I don't know. I don't hate Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but I don't love it. I don't hate it, but
fair enough.
I can't get into it.
I think I saw it when it came out, right? And no rating back then. It would not put a R. It said it's going to be rated X or unrated. When it came out, I had a theater that did not give a shit. They played it, and they let a 13-year-old me in there to watch it. I went for the gore. I'm a gore hound, so I love that stuff. But I mean, I think that's why I really, really appreciate that one, because even some of the versions I have don't have some of the shit I saw in that movie, in that cut, that one time, the original time in that theater. Like some of the gore and the blood. I guess that's what it is for me. I don't know.
I know it's got a pretty big fan base. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It never gravitated towards me. The only one that really came close to the original for me was the remake, and it's just little things really let that movie down for me. It was this, the remake was so close, and it just it makes me mad though, because it makes some
a wasted opportunity.
It does. It always feels like a wasted opportunity for me. To me, it does. But what can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
With this being a prequel, was it important to kind of capture the feel and the tone of some of Hooper's original work with this film, and how did you accomplish that with the Sawyer Massacre?
It wasn't too important to me. I wanted to make my own film, but at the same time, try to make you feel like you're in a gritty environment. So I mean, it pays homage in that way, but at the same time, I'm not trying to replicate certain shots from the original or anything like that. There are a couple that maybe come out a little bit similar, but it's not like I tried to went for the Pam walking towards the house and that dolly underneath her. I didn't want to do. Really didn't want to do shots like that, because I mean, I think that maybe it's fan service, but I didn't see it anywhere in the script. If I don't see something like that in the script, it doesn't make sense to do it. So I didn't sacrifice my script for a certain shot or anything like that. I really wanted to have my own vision as far as the cinematography goes, and work with the cinematographer with what he had as far as gear, and make all my shots work on that level. So does it feel like the original at all? Sure, a little bit. I think it's naturally going to feel that way because we had a gritty production design. We had a lot of interesting props that kind of lean towards that, but I don't think you'll see it so much cinematography wise. I don't think you'll see it so much in the camera movements and stuff like that. Maybe you will. I don't know.
I thought aspects of the trailer kind of had, maybe not necessarily a direct correlation, but at least a little bit of a throwback vibe to it. So, like you said, maybe that was the production design.
Yeah, I think more so. Yeah, I mean I don't think we could ever match what they did on the original for the production design. I mean, it was just crazy what they were able to do. We just took what we had. And we had a few things. We had some antique stuff, and we had, some bones, and we had, I don't know. It worked. It worked. It worked well enough, anyways. That I think that you got that feel of that grittiness of the original. So. But other than that, I don't think I really try to emulate anything. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, the trailer, man, it does look like it's on par with some of the other fan entries we've seen down the line from the Friday the 13th, like the Never Hike Alone, of course, Roseblood. My name, is Billy. It's for sure.
It's Billy.
I think you're in good company with this, so we're looking forward to it for sure. Man.
That's good company to be in. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, those are all top-notch fan films right there. They're all, the creme de la creme. So if I'm in that group, I feel very, very blessed. Let's just say
the trailer. I'm putting you at the front of the line for it to get into that clubhouse there. So
we'll let you know October 22nd.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know. You might people might see the movie and hate. And some people will. Some people will watch this movie and it won't be for them. I do get messages from people or comments on some of my posts and stuff like that saying no chop top, then no interest, stuff like that, so there's no chop top in our film, and I'm not going to lie about that. So those fans that like yourself, if you like chop top, you're going to be disappointed maybe a little bit, but
right.
But I don't know. I hope that the majority of people like the direction we went. There were some interesting character choices we did with some of the legacy characters. As I mentioned already, Grandpa talking, and you see a little bit of that in the trailer. And there's some other ones. I won't spoil anything, but there might be some choices that not everybody's going to agree with.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
With Grandpa, if he's going to be, 7 to 8 years younger than what he is when we see him in the original. I would expect him to move around a little bit more. I would expect him to be a little more animated.
He's not walking though. I'll tell you that.
No,
he's still he's in that rocking chair and he ain't moving out of that. But
and possibly even finally seeing Grandma. Huh.
No, sorry.
No, I'm just gonna answer it.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a spoiler. I can't spoil. I don't know if I should spoil this.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Let's say Grandma's not in it. Grandma's not in it, but there's something about Grandma in this movie.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
All right, that's fair enough. Fair enough. I like it.
Ziggy's trying to do that dig.
We always gotta
get a little bit of info out of you.
We give you the generic stuff that you've heard before, and then we come at you with that right to the liver punch, man. Boom.
All I can say is though, it's very, very subtle.
Okay.
It's so subtle you might miss it. You might miss because it's I don't like to spoon feed people.
No,
I don't like to spoon feed the audience. So you got to listen to some of this dialogue and be like, what the hell is that about? And you will, and at first you'll definitely be like that, and then you get to the end of the film and you'll be like, oh, that early in the film meant that, or it's one of those things where you got to kind of read into stuff a little bit. You got to remember dialogue that doesn't make a lot of sense early on, and then it plays out.
I love it, and I will offer you this: like we've had several of the aforementioned fan film directors on after their movies have come out to do like a live commentary, and we'll extend that invite to you as well once it's out, so we can answer some of these questions. We'll do a watch along with our exclusives, and it's a good time. We've had fans who've had me do it. Yeah, definitely. We'll put that
sounds
on.
like fun.
What
sounds
about
like a plan.
All right. What about directing a period piece, even something as recent as early 70s, late 60s? That's a daunting damn task as a director, especially as a independent filmmaker. So, how did you approach that to make this film feel like the appropriate time frame? And can you give any examples as to the attention to detail pertaining to like costumes, props, sets, dialogue, anything like that?
Well, it was a lot tougher than I had imagined it was going to be. So I mean, early on, one of the members of the cast, Alicia Jade, who plays Lorraine, it's like, I think I can do a lot of hair from that time. She's good at hairdressing. She's like, I think I can do the hair. So she essentially did hair, and her and Nika Lou, who played Allison, kind of worked together on hair and wardrobe. And between the two of them, some people maybe think it looks a little more 70s than 60s, but I think it worked. It was tough to come up with get these costumes that really worked for that time period. And I was sending example photos of what I want. We never got anything exactly like what I wanted, but when you got a low budget, you get what you can take, and I think it does pass. I think it passes. But ultimately, the hardest thing was the time period vehicles.
I was thinking there's not many in this. I mean, you'd probably have the main character showing up with what they have, like the guys in the van in the first one. But
well, I'll tell you this.
Yeah. All right.
We were supposed to have 5 vehicles in this movie from 1965 or earlier. And originally, I had talked to enough people, made enough contacts that we actually got to the point where we had 7 vehicles. I thought, oh well, now we got backups in case this one falls through and whatever. Then a few days before the production, this guy that had two of the vehicles says, I can't make it. I won't be able to make it. So this is just a few days. So well, all of a sudden, still got my 5. It's a good thing I had backups. Then the night before production, it was the night before, yes. I get a call from one of the other guys who had 3 of the cars we were going to do, and we were supposed to get a team to shuttle them down, which I learned that this is not a good idea, by the way. This is never a good idea, especially with old vehicles, to shuttle them from location to location. Always put them on a trailer. So he calls me up and says one of the cars is dead. It's not going to work. But you can get the other 2. So we go there, and all of a sudden we're down to 4. I'm like, uh-oh, what are we going to do? But I always, in my head, one of the vehicles was kind of an afterthought. That's what this is an afterthought. We don't have to worry about that. So I thought 4, we can still make it with 4. We go down to shuttle these vehicles. And so me and the production manager and his, I can't remember his friend's name. He's in the credits, but we go down to, it's about an hour drive from where we were in Bastrop. And it takes a while for these vehicles to start up and everything. This is late at night, the night before production starts. It's like 11 p.m. at night. We're supposed to start shooting at 6 a.m. in the morning the next day. And I'm in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. I don't know where I am, and we're waiting for these cars to start, and I have to drive one of them, and it was the oldest one. It was a 56. I can't even remember what the hell type of car that was.
Oh, wow.
It was an old car, and I get in this car, and it's like, this thing's like a boat. And I get it started, and then I try to put on the gas, and it stops, and apparently it's got some carburetor issue. They fix it. I drive. I follow the other guy because I have no idea where I'm going. I don't live in Texas. I don't know anywhere. I have no idea where I'm going. So I had to follow them. We stop at the gas station just down the road because they had to get gas in that truck, in the truck that they were taking. And I start up again. It does the same thing. It won't budge. And we had to call them back and say, "Hey, take this thing." I don't want it. Basically, I told him, I'm like, I'm afraid to drive this frickin' thing. I will live with 3 vehicles somehow. We'll make it. Okay. And so they do. We took the truck still. The truck did work, although it had a gas leak. We had a fortune of a gas bill with that thing. But we got the truck. And then the day of shooting, one of the vehicles that was supposed to be there just totally ghosted us. So so I'm like trying to contact this guy. He's not answering at all. So I'm like, we needed 5. Now we have 2. And it was not. So imagine how creative I had to be at that point.
Yeah.
I was just kept thinking in my head, what are we going to do? How am I going to make? I couldn't feasibly do it with just 2 vehicles. So, during that first day, I was on the horn, doing whatever I can. I'm like, I'll pay whatever I gotta pay. Just please, and so we couldn't get the vehicle for that day, but we did for the next day. We got this other vehicle, and it worked out okay. We had to change things in the script quite a bit, but that's what you do when you're filming. Hey, that's the test to an indie film crew. You can't do this, so now you have to do this. Yeah. And you know what? Ultimately, we didn't sacrifice the story.
Right. And you had to make those changes in about less than 24 hours somehow. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more like 6 hours, but.
Probably. We got lucky. We got lucky because we had a day off between day 1 and day 2. So I was able to kind of figure out exactly how I was going to shoot day 2. Day 2 was the essential thing. How do I shoot day 2 with only these vehicles? And I figured out how to do it in the script. It was confusing to everybody at first, but it actually plays out very, very well, and nobody would know that was a rewrite. It was totally rewritten, but it worked. It actually worked a lot better than I thought it was going to work. I'll say that.
How long was the shoot?
The shoot ran from, I think, March 7th to March 19th, but we had multiple days off in there. We were supposed to shoot for 10 days total. Right. Unfortunately, we had bad weather one day, like really bad weather. It was like typhoon type weather that we had to take. We couldn't shoot that day, essentially, so we shot 9 days instead. Shooting a feature film in 9 days is no easy task. It's not. I'm sure there's many filmmakers that have done it. I'm not the only one, but to shoot an 1.5-hour film in 9 days, that is not easy. It was tough. It was definitely the toughest filming experience I've ever had personally.
Was that the goal to the whole time to do a feature length, or was it just like we're going to shoot and then we'll piece it together and see what we got? No, you had a full length in mind.
We knew we wanted it to be feature length, but that could have been 80 minutes or it could have been 75 minutes. So I mean, there was a time like after we'd shot, we did cut quite a bit out of the script, probably 10 pages. So I thought it's probably only going to be about 80 minutes, but certain scenes played out longer than you would have expected. So it ultimately was about 90 minutes before credits, before end credits, and I think it'll end up being about 95 minutes with credits. So it's okay that we cut that stuff out. I didn't like it at the time though. I was like, why are we cutting all this stuff? I know, but
man,
we just didn't have it. We just
especially if it's something you wrote.
Yeah.
You know, you have a little emotional tie to it, so it's like, man, we got to cut it anyway. You know, that's hard.
It is what it is. It happens, man. It happens.
With every director we've talked to, we've seen this very similar thing where they're like, shit, man, I had to take this out, and I had to take this out, and it killed me to do it. You know?
But you have to. But a good filmmaker, and I'm sure any of these same guys probably can look at the script and say, do we actually need this for the story? Does this actually have to be in there for the story to still make sense? So the story has to come first. So a filmmaker always has to ask themselves, is it going to affect the story in any way? And if the answer is no, then you got to be willing to make that sacrifice when you just don't have the money for an extra day of shooting or whatever it is, whatever the case may be. So I had, sure, there's a couple scenes I was like, I wish I could have shot this, but the story is still intact, and I think that's ultimately what I'm happy about. The story is intact, and it came out better than I thought at the time. When we finished shooting, I thought, ooh, this is going to be rough. When we wrapped on the final day, I was like, well, I think we got to film. I was kind of like that. And then I start seeing the footage come together, and sure, some of the scenes aren't as good as I would have liked, but for the most part, a lot of the stuff I thought was going to turn out bad actually came out fairly well. Good. So, magic in the editing, I guess. But, I'm used to getting a lot of coverage on my short films, at least. We usually get a lot of shots, and I make sure that every shot is, has a purpose and all that, But this, we couldn't get quite as much coverage as I would have liked. But it's there, though. It's there.
Not in 9 days, especially.
9 days. Whew. I still can't believe we pulled that off in 9 days. I'll be honest. That was tough to pull it off in 9 days. Whew. Nice.
Well, you already mentioned that Grandpa is going to be making a appearance in this, played by Les Best. As I was cruising the cast list, just kind of doing a little research earlier, I noticed Drayton also kind of makes a return, played by Bill Housekeeper. And there's another character I want to get into, but will we see other familiar names or faces played by different actors in this one, or is that something you're holding on to?
I mean, the hitchhiker's in it, so we have again.
Is that
clearly in that trailer?
Schizo is the hitchhiker, basically.
Okay.
So he doesn't hitchhike in our film, so I felt like we shouldn't call him the hitchhiker in this movie because he doesn't do any hitchhiking. So we called him Schizo because he's a schizo. I mean, he is. And
the actor, I'm not going to say his name right, so I'll let you say it. The actor for this one?
Vitor Parcini. He's got a middle name that I'm not going to try to do. I don't know if they're Bulgarian or Polish or I don't know, but but he was the son of our production manager, Chris Parcini, and he got the role. There was two others. There was one other for the role, and we had originally cast somebody else in the role, by the way, and they had to leave due to their agency or something like that. But I really liked his look for the character. I thought, this is probably about what a 16-year-old hitchhiker would look like.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw the photo.
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, he did. I had to work with him a little bit on the acting a bit, but once he got it, everybody around was like, he's very much like Ed Neal. So that's not an easy thing to do.
He's got the long hair, right, in this one.
Yeah, he's got longer hair. He definitely got longer hair than Ed did in the original. But
what I noticed in that trailer were his crazy eyes, and that convinced me. So I know who that is. Yep.
Yeah, it seems like I'm always the last to be convinced with acting. But when people are coming around me saying, "Oh my God, he's awesome," I can't ignore it, So I was like, I think I need to work with him on little things here, and I'm very particular that way. But when everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's nailing it," then I stepped back a little bit. I've learned to kind of step back that way. Whereas back in the early days, I would have been all over him saying, "No, it's not like this. It's more like this," and whatever. But
you would have been that helicopter dad.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, I didn't really have time to honestly, had hardly any time for me to do any real directing in this movie. The actors had to be on point because we were just always pressed for time. It was always a time thing. So we got lucky with some really good acting that I didn't have to give a lot of direction to them. And there's a couple performances I wish I could have given better direction on. But again, that's what happens when you're rushed. You can't expect every performance to be amazing when you're shooting in a feature film in 9 days. But ultimately, I am pretty happy with the acting overall. But they were all professionals, and it showed.
Nice. Don't worry, I'll nitpick the actors to death, so don't worry about that.
I still do. I mean, I look at certain performances in the movie, and I'm like, man, if we only had more time, I could have given better direction on this or better direction on that. And there are little things but I'm probably the only one that notices them because I'm the writer-director, and I know exactly what I wanted from this character at this point, and so I might be a little harder on myself than I should be, but it is what it is. I have to learn to let it go sometimes.
Now, last choice I have about casting, of course, is the iconic Leatherface. You have Scotty Parkin taking this role. Did he have any previous knowledge or admiration for the character before he took this role, and what was it about his audition or getting to know him that convinced you he was right for the part?
That's a good question, actually, because I wasn't sure at the time when I was first talking with him, when I first kind of chatted with him, if he was going to be right for the role. He's a little older than I was wanting, because Leatherface is supposed to be younger in this movie. He's supposed to be around 20-ish was what I was going for. And Scotty's 40 now, so he doubled down on the age. So, but when we first our very, very first promotional trailer that we shot back in 2019 was more or less his audition for the character, because we had talked about the movie and stuff like that, and talked about him playing Leatherface, and he just really, really wanted the role. He loved Leatherface. He was really into playing this iconic role, and he was really into doing all his homework and to get movements down and stuff like that. But I still wasn't convinced until I saw what he was doing in our promotional trailer, particularly a scene where he had to manhandle a young girl. And it might be kind of a fluke, because I mean this girl, she was only 16 at the time. She was 18 when she was in our film, but she was only 16 at the time we shot that promotional trailer. And Scotty's like, "Oh my God, I don't want to manhandle this girl. I'm gonna feel like a pervert, So the way he was doing it was it made it look precise though, and it was because it was kind of like he's holding back, but it looked like he was being very methodical, very precise with what he was doing. And then her screaming was so intense, of course, as well, and all of her movements. But I think because of that, I thought that this guy's probably right for this role, just because he's giving me that methodical vibe. when in all actuality, he was just trying to hold back because he didn't want to hurt this poor girl, you know. And I don't know, didn't
want to grab a boob or something, you know, out of place, or, you know.
Exactly.
Nervous about, you know, getting Me Too'd.
Yeah, no.
I will say this: you don't see too much of him in the trailer, but having to be a younger Leatherface, I could totally buy it that he's like got a bigger, grown body, but his mind is still going to be, you know, even though he's this man child, it works. You know, he could be big, it's fine. You know, I don't think that's going to be even noticed. You know, that
I mean, I think the only thing that I kind of wish maybe is that he was a faster runner. If there's anything, he's not bad. He could run, but I don't know. Like Gunnar could run. Like you look at him in the original, like he was really running in a lot of those scenes. And
terrifying.
I don't know. I don't feel like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but you know, Scotty was good, but. I don't think he was quite as fast as I would have liked as a runner anyways, but maybe I'm being picky. I don't know. But he was great, man. He was great. And you know what, man? He went through a lot making this film. I will say that. Like, he had so much crap. The poor guy just, he must have hated life role. At the end of it. It is. Yeah. I warned him, though. I was like, man, just you might need to get doctor's clearance on this role. Like I said that to him, because this is going to be tough. And the chainsaw that we use is twice as heavy as any other chainsaw. Because it's an old chainsaw. It's a 50s chainsaw. So, because of because of how heavy that chainsaw was, man, I felt for him. It was tough. He had to put it over his head. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to run and do that at the same time, but he did. He got it over there. Not a lot, but he got it over his head. So, like I said, that thing is heavy.
Somebody even noticed the chainsaw on the promotional post I did yesterday. They even commented like "sweet machine," you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we went old school. You know, when I was first kind of, you know, looking at the production for this movie, you know, one of the things I knew was the chainsaw from the original, the Poulan chainsaw, didn't exist in 1965. So I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to find the coolest chainsaw I possibly can. That's older. That's old enough. And I came across this 1956 David Bradley, whatever, chainsaw, and I thought, I see Leatherface with this chainsaw. And so I was like, I'm going to get it. And joined a bunch of chainsaw groups on Facebook, and finally got somebody to sell me one. So thank God for that. You know,
one of the few things that Facebook is still good for today, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that on Twitter or something like that. You know,
if you need a 1956 chainsaw, Facebook is your place to go.
There you go.
Ziggy, jump in.
All right.
Question in here.
Yeah, something I noticed when I was going through your back work and everything, and you've mentioned you're a musician, was the soundtracks and some of the creepy, very Carpenter-esque, droning kind of soundtracks you do there. Obviously, you're influenced there, but, I mean, how are these all straight out of your head? You have any help composing these things? Or, I mean, what do you play anyway? What is your instrument of choice?
My primary instrument is guitar, but I play bass and keys
right,
as well. So I mean, the Sawyer Massacre I did have extra help on, mostly because I got a million volunteers, and if I'm being honest, I would have been happy doing it all by myself. But you know, the guy that made the basement for us, he really wanted to have his music in the film, and you know, it was kind of a good deal that we get his music in the film for him, basically constructing an entire basement for us to make it look like really old, disgusting basement. So that was, and we used his music quite a bit. And then another guy I met on Instagram, goes by the name Gory Rory, just said, man, I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre music. I always wanted to compose one. Why don't you hear a piece I do and let me know if you want it in the movie? And he entitled this piece the Sawyer family house, I think, the Sawyer house. Yeah, the Sawyer house. And I listened to it. I'm like, okay, I want to use this in the movie. It really felt right for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It felt very, very Texas Chainsaw Massacre without directly copying it. So
yeah,
it's used quite heavily in the movie. Basically, every time we see Grandpa's house in the movie, it's playing. So that's Grandpa's house theme in our movie. But I did the rest.
Yeah. That's great. Much. I mean, plus that's a good thing. And also a benefit of the fan film aspect of it is you're going to get a lot of people that have hands-on and have stuff like this to offer. So, I mean, I
love it. And in a world today where indie films typically don't use real composers, they just use canned music, which is a shame, I think. It's really, really unfortunate. I get it, though. I mean, it's a budget thing. Why pay a composer when there's so many libraries of canned soundscapes and whatnot online. Why not just use that? I don't know. It's just I would rather not do that. I'm kind of lucky in the fact that I can do my own music. But if there's an opportunity for me to get somebody else's music in the film, I will as well, because well, I mean, an hour and a half feature is not something easy to compose a lot of music to, too. So it takes a little bit of work, little bit of the workload off of me. But and you know what? Texas Chainsaw Massacre is tough to compose music for, because you don't want it to be overly musical.
No,
you don't want it to be too melodic, and you want to use a lot of natural sounds as much as you possibly can. And I think that, not just myself, but, Gory Rory, who did the Grandpa's theme, and Justin from Solo X, they did that. They delivered that. So I was happy to use their music in the film. It sounds great.
Great. I'm man. And as a fan of soundtracks this is a main element for me when I go see a horror movie, thank you for taking this route, because it's only going to make it better, in my opinion.
I agree.
Not using the canned music and the royalty-free shit that everybody has on their stuff,
Right.
Yeah,
you hear the same a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot of films
I
anymore, you hear the same stinger in every movie lately.
You do, and it's getting annoying to me.
Yeah.
And another thing that's causing me is I get probably 5 messages a month from composers saying, let me compose your film, because they get, nobody's using their music anymore. Right. It sucks, is nobody's hiring composers anymore. So the poor composers are just willing to donate their music because nobody is using it. It's kind of a supply and demand thing, or as we say here in Canada, supply and command. A little different. That's a Trailer Park. Is Trailer Park Boys popular where you guys are?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The save those emails from those composers, so you may need them down the road, though.
I've probably got 100 emails from composers, or direct messages from Facebook or Instagram or whatever. They're everywhere. So I feel for them. I really wish I could help all of them, but I can't. There's no way I could do that.
Right.
But once in a while, when somebody says, I got some music you should use in your film, I'll at least give them a listen and see if it's right for the film. 9 times out of 10, it's not, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so tough. You think it's easy because it's just a lot of noise a lot of the times, but creating those noises and not using just synthetic stuff from Pro Tools or whatever, it's tougher than you think. It's tough.
Yeah. I gotta throw this comment up here. Carrie says, "Ooh, we could do a grandpa-themed drinking game."
Ooh. Hey, it's Carrie Yates. Hey, Carrie, how you doing?
You know Carrie?
I know her through Facebook. I know her through.
Okay.
She's I'm an associate producer on another fan film that she's executive producer on.
Oh, nice.
For a Halloween 3 fan film.
Nice.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
But one of the most criticized aspects lately in the horror genre has been the special effects. Now, hardcore fans, of course, want the practical effects. They don't want you to do, you know, the CGI blood and all that anymore. But how did you approach the effects with the Sawyer Massacre, with the balance of, if there's any CGI in it? Hopefully practical effects mostly.
All practical effects, yes.
Okay.
I've never done CGI for anything, so I mean, I think there's a time and a place for CGI. I've never really seen good CGI in horror. I'm sure it's. I mean, it's good for like, the ghosts and stuff like that. I guess. Listen. I'm not a ghost movie kind of guy though. So
this is a discussion that it'll open a whole can of worms with the people with the CGI around here. So just thank you for going practical. And I'm just going to ask, just give me an estimate. How many buckets of blood? You're making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. I expect a minimum of 3 buckets of blood in this. Minimum.
Oh, you have to ask our SFX artist Sergio. But you know what? Not that much, really. I mean, the original didn't have very much.
Right.
The original until the very, very end.
Yep.
The blood on Sally while she's escaping is the most blood you get in that entire film. I could have done that with a pint. Pint, it's we didn't go too bloody. We have a lot of kills.
That's cool. Hey, man, like, okay, it's fine. Blood's. It helps.
Ziggy loves his gore.
Ziggy loves my gore. I won't apologize for that. But other things are disturbing besides actually seeing the blood splatter, like somebody being hooked, or like when Leatherface chainsaws his own leg. Always when you start seeing little chunks of meat flying out of there, man, it's like, I know that's a ham hock or something, but man, that makes me want to puke right on the spot. I love that shit. So it's fine.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm sure you as a fan, you're gonna bring what the fans want. So that's
for me, when it comes to gore, I want to make you think you saw more gore than you actually did. Well, like that's what the original really did. How much blood happened? How much blood did you actually see when Pam got hung on the meat hook?
None.
You saw a little bit of splatter on the back wall.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You didn't see
her
any
reaction
from her feet. It sells it.
Yep.
So I think we were able to do the same. There's a couple of scenes maybe that, I don't know, but we did a lot of off-screen deaths as well, where it was more about the reaction of somebody else rather than the victims who were being slaughtered with the chainsaw. So I think sometimes that's more impactful.
Okay.
I
gotta see it. I'll give it a day before. I gotta see it before I can rule on it. That's all. I mean, but
he was last week. He was complaining about the off-screen kills in Prey.
Yes.
And
I still haven't seen Prey. I've heard good things about it though.
I'm in the minority. It just, but I you know what it is. I'm not a huge fan beyond the first couple of Predator or Aliens. Once it went past Aliens, I'm kind of out, man. I mean, I watch them. I've seen them all once, but they don't do anything for me. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with my low ranking of Prey. It's a great fucking concept, but to me, it just they missed a lot of beats. In my opinion,
I'll have to see it still. I will judge it once I see it. I tend to be that guy that doesn't like a lot of films that other people like. So, big case in point. Most recently was for me. I for the first time I finally watched Strangers Prey at Night. Yeah, and God, did I ever hate that fucking movie? I really hate, but everybody I see just loves it. Oh, it's such an homage to 80s slasher films. I didn't see it, man. I saw a lot of poor decisions made by the good characters, whatever you want to call them, the protagonists, and a lot of poor decisions made by the antagonists. So I really had nobody to root for in that film. So I mean, I didn't care much for the first Strangers either, but at least in the first one, the strangers themselves, the antagonists, were totally in control. So you can, you got that at least. Whereas in this, they made so many mistakes, and it just felt like why did they do that? I don't know. I don't know, but that was just me. I hated Strangers Prey at Night. I know a lot of people love it, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was shouting at the screen watching that movie. I really was. That's the first movie in a long time that I've seen where I was literally shouting at the screen because of how. Sorry, guys. I'm going on a rant now.
No. We were sitting there, the three of us, watching Prey. Because we were at a con last weekend in Oklahoma, and so we got to hang out, actually, like Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, watching this Prey. We were fucking calling the lines out, man. Oh, they better not. Oh, they did. You know, and we were. There's a few incidences like that, man, and it's just.
Yeah. Yeah, when you can predict the dialogue, it's never a good thing.
Dialogue and certain shit they did, we saw coming a mile away.
I called the entire second act. Almost exactly. But
we shouldn't be nailing.
I digress.
Yes.
Okay.
Fuck Brett. Let's move on.
What is the ultimate goal for this film? What do you want to accomplish with the Sawyer Massacre?
I mean, it's definitely probably out of the realm of possibility, but man, I'd love to be able to use it as a pitch to whoever made the other new Texas Chainsaw Massacre films and say, hey, give me some money to make this film properly, and you got yourself a real Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There you go. A 6-picture deal with Netflix. That's what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if it's really Netflix that owns the... I mean, they might own distribution rights, but I'm pretty sure they don't own production rights. I'm pretty sure that's still Legendary, but I don't know for sure. You never know.
Right.
Who knows? But, I mean, that's a pretty high probability of not happening. So I mean, ultimately, I mean, it would be nice if it gave me a name so that I can make my other films that I want to do. I don't want to make short films anymore. I'm not saying I'll never do another short film again, but I'd really want to stick to features. I got so many feature length scripts that I want to do. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this makes the funding process a lot easier for me. And gives me that freedom to maybe even possibly make some money doing this thing. Actually make a little bit doing this rather than spending money to do the whole filmmaking thing.
That was the one thing with a lot of the crew, like we talked to with Roseblood when we went down and covered their premiere, and we got to talk to everybody, and they all said, "Yeah, this looks great. Now we got to go get together and make something we can fucking sell because they can't." Yeah. Can't make any money on it, It's
I mean, I don't plan on doing another fan film after this. I mean, I'll never say never,
right?
Because I mean, I get all kinds of people asking me when's the sequel going to be coming out and all this stuff. I'm like, why don't you make a sequel to my movie? And then that would be a huge honor if somebody made a sequel to my movie between this one and between that would be so cool. I think that would be. I'd love it if somebody else did it. I don't want to do it though. I don't want to be the one to do it. But again, I'll never say never, but it definitely wouldn't be for a long time.
I see here... go ahead.
I can't remember. I totally lost my train of thought. You go ahead.
I was picking the spot. It's the interviewer thing there. I see your next feature is the Follow Your Heart as romantic. But I'm just saying, beyond this, that's your next project you're going to get to. You can speak on that.
Well, I can. It's not a project I'm going to get to. It's a project I filmed already a long time ago that we've never released. Is what it is. It was actually the first feature I ever did. First feature-length film I ever did. I did First Annual Barbecue, a 30-minute short, and then I said, okay, I obviously suck at horror, so I basically did. I got my ass ripped on First Annual Barbecue. I'm not going to lie, and rightfully so. I mean, I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't get all the technical aspects of filmmaking at that point.
The one comment that I saw on the 10-minute version that I watched earlier today, that one comment, and I wanted to just reach out and bitch slap this guy, was, well, nothing original for sure. I was like, shut the fuck up, asshole. Let's see you do 10 minutes of Texas Chainsaw.
Get out of here.
I didn't see that comment, or did I? I don't know. That was posted so many years ago that
that was like 7 years ago.
But I mean, even with the 30-minute version, which is better than the 10-minute version, but it's still not great. I mean, I didn't get how to be a good director. I didn't get how to direct my actors at all. I think I don't want to say that the actors did bad, really, because I didn't really know how to direct. I just didn't know how to give them the proper direction. I didn't know how to make a good shot list, so I didn't understand how the camera should move. And and there's bad lighting in that in that as well. It's some pretty bad lighting, but that's more the cinematographer's fault. And we work with a pretty young and new guy as far as cinematography goes. So, but at the same time, it was a learning experience. So then I went and I made Follow Your Heart, thinking I've learned my mistakes, and then I realized that I still got more mistakes I have to learn from. No, I mean, Follow Your Heart it's a 2-hour film. It's totally different. It was a total left turn, very, very much a left turn, somewhat autobiographical, somewhat. I'll say loosely autobiographical, but
you wrote it then too. You wrote it.
I wrote it. I did write it. Majority of stuff that I've directed, I did write. I have helped other writers by directing their stuff as well, but majority of my stuff I did actually write. But my biggest issue with that was I still had some. It still wasn't great at directing the actors. It was better though. I was better. But I think our biggest issue was sound. I learned that how crucial sound was on that film. And I thought that I could get away with a very, very simple audio recorder and not actually hire a sound guy. And so now I've been mostly just in the post-production trying to finish the sound. And I've put it away for such a long time. I've pretty much said, this movie's never going to be good sound-wise. And I should almost just release it as it is. And it is what it is. It's I'd like to release it still, even though it's terrible audio wise, but and some bad acting and some bad makeup. There's a few bad things about it. There's it is what it is. It was a feature film made for 10,000 Canadian dollars, so it's like $5 US. No.
No, but I saw it. It's chronologically listed on your credits, and it actually, I think it has a release date of 2022 on it now.
That's it. I never put that. I don't know if you put that.
Oh.
Okay, that's interesting. But it was supposed to be released in 2015 or something like that, and then we kept pushing it, and now I've just kind of let it go. And I shouldn't just let it go. I should actually go back to it and release it, because it is my first feature, and whatever faults it has, it is what it is. It'll never make the money back that we spent on it, but it was probably my biggest lessons learned were on that film. Always hire a sound guy that knows what he's doing. always. And a makeup artist that knows what she's doing too.
Yeah. Here's how you launch that film: do a double feature with that Batgirl project they just shelved.
Shit. Batgirl project that just shelved?
What was the project? What was the DC project they just pulled?
Yeah, they made it's like a Latino Batgirl, and they've spent $90 million on it, and now they've shelved it. They're not going to release it.
They actually spent $90 million.
They spent the money on it,
and they're shelving it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Warner Brothers.
Now I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so bad for spending 10 grand and shelving it, but
you kind of opened the door to this, so I'm going to ask. I had it as a question anyway, but if you did get the reins to the franchise, the TCM franchise, don't mind the Yeehaw Brigade that just drove by my place.
I heard it, but it's all good.
Yeah. If you did get the reins of the TCM franchise and we're given creative freedom, how would you take the story? Would you start with a complete reboot, or could you do anything based off the Netflix current series?
Personally, I wouldn't do anything based off the Netflix current series, because you know what, man? I don't feel like Leatherface works in modern times. It's just my personal opinion, maybe, but I could see maybe 90s. I could see that before it was too internet driven and cell phone driven, and I think it'd be kind of cool to see like a found footage Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Blair Witch sort of thing. With old handicaps, not these new, not like the found footage movies you see now where it's all really high tech and doesn't really look found footage anymore.
No. Super 8.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see something like that. I could see me doing something like that. But I mean, man, if I actually got the money to make this film, true to my vision, if you give me $1 million to make this film, I guarantee you, it would turn out exactly as I want. And that's the thing. I mean, it's I'm happy with the film the way it is, of course, but man, I just think there's so much more opportunity if I actually had a real budget, and I think they would get something pretty awesome from the Sawyer Massacre. I probably wouldn't call it the Sawyer Massacre. I'd love to actually be able to call it the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and maybe a subtitle underneath it, But yeah, that's if I was to do a sequel, I'd probably set it in the 90s. I'd probably do a found footage set in the 90s, or do something that's like maybe a year after the original. So go back to the 70s, go back 74, 75, and explore some different avenues of where you could take it. Yeah, I mean, there's potential there. I think there's potential there. I really don't see potential in modern times for Leatherface and the Sawyers. Really, it just seems like I don't know. They're pretty the Sawyers are pretty reliant on their victims being stuck out in the middle of nowhere with nowhere to go. And if you had all this technology, if you had new phones, I don't know. It's maybe it's possible, but I mean, how many times can you do that trope of, oh, I got no signal here on my phone? How many times? That's just lazy writing, folks. We've seen that one a million times.
Well, so far, we've been able to use that for about 20, 25 years now. That seems to be sticking.
It's about there. Yeah, it seems to be sticking for whatever reason. They think that it's not old yet. I don't know.
I would have ex-nayed the 20-year-olds cult buying a fucking town. That was a little far-fetched too for me. I mean, but
very far-fetched. Very, but
I know it's original if nothing else, right?
They just don't seem to know what they should do for it. They're kind of going off of formulas that are working, and I think that's what studios do. They don't actually have somebody who's passionate about the film that's like, oh, I got an awesome script, let me make this film. They don't have that. There's no passion. It's about, okay, this worked for this film, these things are working, so let's get all these into this film and the film will work. Too formulaic. It's almost robotic, you know what I mean? It's films are being, it just doesn't work for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. To me, that's why the original worked and all the other ones didn't work, is because the original was made by indie filmmakers with passion, and all the other ones were made by studios. Yeah, I think that's probably a big difference between all of the films. All of those
about
other
that all the
films
time.
for the studio. Yeah,
we talk about all the time with the big studio films.
Yeah. Bean counters get promoted into the big seats and start making the decisions. They see, oh, I've heard of Texas Chainsaw. Let's go ahead. We get it on the cheap too. Let's get it. And they do that, So I don't know. I didn't really. I like, again, just a few elements from that new one are worthy, and the rest of it you could trash it, man.
Yeah,
we had a great discussion about this with when we talked about Incantation and The Sadness couple. Yes. Well, it's been about a month or so ago. And that was one of the things that I kind of speculated was, the foreign films seem to be so much better and so much more original and shocking and surprising because they don't have numerous bean counters, telling them, well, you gotta have a scare every 8 pages, you gotta have a laugh every 3 pages, shit like that. So
I hear you.
that leads me actually to at least my last question. Yeah. And what are your thoughts on the state of horror today? Are you a fan of the new so-called elevated horror from studios like A24 and even Blumhouse? And a second part of that, are there any recent legacy sequels that you have liked from other franchises?
No and no, pretty much. I mean, given this, I don't get as many opportunities to watch modern horror as I used to. But a lot of the if you even call them horror, though, that's the thing. A lot of the films I've liked are more thriller kind of style, drama thrillers almost.
Black Phone.
I haven't seen that. I gotta. There's so many I have to watch. There's so many.
You'll like that one.
I will. I
Yes.
hope so. I mean, people keep telling me I like stuff, and then I watch it. I'm like, wasn't for me. You know,
I could have
don't know
told
how
you
many-
you weren't going to like Strangers Pray at Night, though.
Oh, jeez. I'm just saying, like that particular one,
I wish you would.
they nailed the 70s in the Black Phone. So that
I
part,
thought so, yeah.
they'll take
That's
you
a
right
tou-
to it, man. Yeah.
That's a tough thing to nail. I mean, you don't see it happen too often. Again, that was my biggest problem with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake is I did not feel like it was really the 1970s, and that was due to the costume design, the lingo that the way the actors were speaking, and it's just it wasn't believable. So I really didn't believe it was 1973 because they were playing Sweet Home Alabama on their at the beginning of that movie, and that movie didn't come out till 1974.
Right.
That song, didn't come out till 1974. So that was a big flaw right off the bat. You know, that was pretty much as soon as that song hit, it was this movie's kind of taken a dive for me. So I mean, yeah, if you can replicate that time period, good on you. Then I have respect for filmmakers that really pay that attention to detail. I think for some films like that Texas Chainsaw 2003, I think the filmmakers don't necessarily try too hard to replicate the 1970s because they want to make it relevant to modern audiences. I think I see that too much in modern horror, trying to make it relevant to young people, I guess. And I think that's where I get lost a lot of times. You know, a lot of the modern horror movies I watch, it's that try to replicate time periods. You know, they do it with music. They play songs from that time. Like I watched, I think it was the Fear Street, 1994.
Fear Street, that was the one I was thinking of, yep.
I was like, every 5 minutes there was a song from the 90s.
Yep.
And it was really weird because there's a couple songs that didn't come out until like 96 or 97. I was like, hey, wait a second here. If this takes place in 94, this song shouldn't be being, you know. So, I mean, they lose it for me. Why do they have to rely on music to replicate that time period? I don't know. It's...
Well, and I mean, this is a little bit of a side note, but I hate it when there's always one character in a horror movie anymore that will have like a Pixies t-shirt on, or, you know, Jane's Addiction t-shirt on. And I'm like, I'm sorry, these kids in 2022 are not going to know who the fuck the Pixies are. I'm sorry. A 14-year-old is not going to know.
You know what? I will say I do see a number of early 20s, and it's like a fashion thing now. They'll have a Nirvana shirt on, and it's like, I'm all like, give me 3 songs. And they're like, I don't know. You know, I like the shirt.
They'll wear their shirts, but
yeah,
exactly.
I just like the naked baby. Get the fuck out of here. Well,
Yeah,
cool.
I got one more. I got
Ziggy,
one
you
more.
got one
Yeah.
more? Yeah.
Oh, hold
I
on.
got
Before
one more.
you
We'll
hit,
get you out of here. And we're going to show the trailer, aren't we? Before we split?
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
close with the trailer tonight.
I
'cause
want him here so we can, you know,
Oh, okay.
get our response like kind of directly. But
Cool.
forgetting follow your heart and everything. Like, not forgetting, but going past it. What do you have in your mind for like original horror? Do you have some things kind of rolling around that you want to get to with it? I mean,
I have some screenplays, that's for sure.
yeah.
So you saw Unseen, the
Yes.
short film I did a few years back. Anyways, I actually have a feature-length script for that, and I want to do that next. I want to do the
Okay.
feature for Unseen.
It's so.
And by the
it's
way,
so-
guys, after the show, we'll link. I'll put the link to the shorts
Yeah.
that we found in the comments, so you can check them out as well. And
we're gonna make Disorder our new featured short of the month here. So, we all dug it. We all thought.
I
That was
want to talk about this briefly, though, too, about Unseen and compared to
Go ahead,
Disorder, actually, because they're both shorts. But Unseen works better as a feature. Let's just say that. I mean, Unseen confuses a lot of people. I don't know if you guys were confused when you saw it. but it's hard to pick up all the little details of it because it really needs time to breathe. To all the little nuances in it. There's so much I wanted to expand on in that film, whereas Disorder really was written as a short, and I was able to get out everything I needed in that short. It was really simplistic. I think that's why I knew I was pretty much better at writing feature-length scripts, because the detail I was going through in my mind was just too much for a short film. So that's why, I mean, Disorder has actually done better as far as response, as far as a short film goes. But it's funny, Unseen is it's one of those shorts that if you do get it, you do like it. Typically, you do like the message that is being conveyed. You do like the motive of the killer once you actually understand the motive of the killer. But probably 75% of the people that watch it think the motive of the killer is the fact that all the girls look all the same or something like that. It'll be something real simple like that when it's actually more detailed. Whether you guys got it or not, I'm not sure.
Well, I've only watched it once, and it was one of those that I felt like I didn't quite get all the way, but I knew there was something about it that I wanted to get into more, but I'm going to watch it again.
Looking at things, but I couldn't ignore the heavy feel like Zeno, Maniac. That's what I was getting out of it. You know, I mean, I was like, that's what I was relating to the most. Like, wow, this is like really, really.
It was very inspired by Black Christmas. We'll say that.
I was getting the Black Christmas vibe too.
Yeah. So I mean, the killer is very much a detailed killer that's done subtly. So you have to think of it that way. That there's big motive and there's big stuff behind this killer that you'll find if you really, really, really look for certain things. Like Billy is a very, very deep character, but the majority of audiences will probably not pick up on all the little things. And again, they try to pull one on you with the twist, thinking it's actually Peter that was the killer in that one. Whereas, I mean, Unseen is very similar. I will be able to. It'll be easier to pick up on those little things when you see it in a feature-length version. That's for sure. So that's why I want to do that one, because I just feel like I wasn't able to pull off what I wanted to pull off in a short. So
I feel personally challenged now, Crank, to go and sit down and make sure I got this. I'm gonna watch that fucker again.
I knew I did
the motive. What's his motive? Why is he? Why what is the killer's motive? There's an actual motive, and it's not. I'll tell you, it's not as simple as all the girls have the same hair color or all the girls look the same. But again, like 75% of people will see that and like, oh, the killer's motive was they all look the same.
Well, I mean, he keeps calling her Jenny, so I just think it's Forrest Gump snapped. And he's just pissed off, so he's killing every Jenny that he can find.
Yeah, I've changed her name in the feature-length screenplay for that reason. By the way, I didn't realize how many Forrest Gump references that I was going to get from people when I.
Oh damn!
I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is, Jenny. Sorry.
It is what it is. Whatever.
Well, gang, the Sawyer Massacre is still on Indiegogo. I'm going to throw the link out there in the chat comments right now, and it, of course, will be on our in the description of this video once it processes. Comes out August 26th at the University of Texas Cinemark.
Austin
Theater?
Cinemaker Space. It's the
Austin
Austin
Cinemaker.
Cinemaker Space. Tickets are available for that on the Indiegogo as well.
Right.
If you live in Texas, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are coming from out of Texas, including
There's
myself.
a couple.
Right.
Yeah. There's a couple of our viewers that are in the Texas area, I believe.
In the area, yeah.
And,
Well, if you want to see the movie before anyone else, then you gotta get tickets to the premiere.
Yeah. And then it'll come out on YouTube October 21st. Steve, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for joining us for a couple hours and talking about your film, and looking forward to seeing what you do next. Maybe with Unseen.
Unseen.
I hope so.
Feature length, hopefully.
Feature length Unseen.
So we'll keep
now
it here.
Now you guys have to watch that again and see if you can.
Oh yeah. That's all I'm thinking about right now. But like I said, we're gonna queue you up at the clubhouse door with the fellas, and we'll watch this thing. And then if that door opens up and the light shines upon thee, you will be welcome amongst the greats in the fan film realms. And yes, we can't wait to see this.
Yeah, I'm anxious. I'm really anxious to check it out. So, got a couple months to wait, probably, but not too far.
Not too far. Well, thanks again, guys. It was a pleasure chatting with you guys for the last couple hours.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again. And good luck in Austin next weekend. So,
sounds good.
I'll be in touch with my thoughts on what I think is going on with Unseen here. Like, give me a couple of days to watch this.
We may have a contest going on. Who can get it right?
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All I can say is pay attention from the very beginning.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
That's all I need to know. All right, Steve. Thanks for coming on, and we'll catch you in the future, I hope. Have a good night.
You too, guys. Thanks.
All right. Man, I love those interviews, dude. I love those interviews.
Yeah, those are fun. Plus, I think we did catch him a couple of times where he actually had to think. He couldn't just give the generic canned answer. So
I hope.
Well done, sir.
I always think, though, when they say, "Oh, that's a good question," I always take that as, "Oh, that's a good question that I've heard a dozen times already." But it could be true, it could be not. I don't know. There were a couple of good comments that I wanted to get. Oh, the fellow Canadian finally got in and said Steve was right. Leatherface does not fit in with today's technology. The Netflix movie was embarrassing.
It had a couple of moments. Come on.
I disagree. I think it was embarrassing. Even the slaughter was about the only good thing. The bus scene. That was about it that I could take.
Well, no, and like I said, when he come running out of that alley with the chainsaw kind of ringing out, and then all of a sudden there he is, that was cool. They could have did more intimidating shit like that, and it would have been way more effective. But
we saw that guy just last weekend, though, or 2 weekends ago. That guy was in Oklahoma City.
That's a big fucking dude, man.
Yeah.
Playing him, but he wasn't the problem with that movie, though. Wasn't the Leatherface portrayal?
No, he wasn't.
I don't know. This guy, he's obviously he's into it, man. He's made some cool stuff. Take our word for it. You can go to our page and see the shorts. We're going to put them up there and see for yourself, man. I mean, I really, the music stands out to me. I mean, it's very Carpenter influenced, but different enough to where it's his own. So, I mean, you'll see it and get it. And then, watch fucking Unseen. See what he's talking about. See if you could pick up the motive. Because, I know I'm going to sit down and watch it again because, I watched like 4 or 5 things in a row before we got in here tonight. So,
right.
But I definitely wanted to touch on that music. I'm glad he elaborated a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think I got all my questions in. Some of them that you had gotten to.
Well, I'm going to do that. I don't have anything written down. I wrote down his movies, and then I just circled music at the bottom just so I'd remind myself to say it. And when I wanted to talk about, when I kind of gapped, I was going to talk about his crews. It was like 3 people on the first movie, and then his crews have gotten substantially bigger as this projects have. So, you're seeing it there. The cinematographers had. I mean, they were doing it all. They were wearing all the fucking hats before. So
yeah. Well, gang, thanks for tuning in. As always, we love our Mondays, and want to one more time thank our members: Corey, Chris, Lorena, Christy, Luke, S. Michael, Patricia, Tanya, and Tyrone. Did you already hit the button?
Go ahead, because you talked over it. It's going to bump it right out.
You son of a bitch. Our final girls, thanks to them, are Corey, Chris, Lorena, Christy, Luke, S. Michael, Patricia, Tanya, and Tyrone. And our crazy Ralph Raymond. And our camp counselors, Stacy Lynn, Orlando, Kiara, and Dave.
And for you...
Fuck you.
Hey! Don't. I'm actually kind of surprised you didn't.
You shut your cocksucker, you son of a bitch!
I thought you'd throw that one in there at some point during the show, but I
was looking at. Well,
I
kind of take it easy on the buttons when we got a guest in here, man. They don't need all that shtick in here when they're They're trying to get their wares out to the crowd.
Yeah.
Gotta be cool.
Well, and since the Colonel's not here, I'm going to steal the line before Ziggy does this time. Don't get sick. Wash your dick, folks. Be safe out there. And have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Ziggy, send them out for the evening.
There's a little Colonel for you.
There's a little Colonel for you. Yep.
Yeah, man. A lot of fun. We have more guests coming at you. Let's see. I think, what are we doing next week? We got movie review next week, isn't it? We got another guest. 22nd.
No, we got a guest.
Oh, JT's coming in, right?
Your artist, yeah. JT Egley.
1 week, another guest. This guy's another artist. We all love Angelo. This guy, he does horror, he does pop culture, but he's got a real good eye, and he seems like a cool cat. So should be a lot of fun to see what he's about. I'm looking forward to that one. We got Horror Hound coming up. We're starting to prep for that. A real con, 3-day con. But yeah, I let that go. It's cool, man. We are glad to be here. Well, we missed the Colonel tonight, but we'll be back again stronger than ever next week with JT. Yep. I think it's Eagley. How you say his last name?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah.
S. Michael says, "Peace out, fellas. Good show. Hope Colonel's dick gets better."
Yep. It hurts when he pees right now.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Do not listen to Ziggy.
He didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's his saying.
Would you stop?
Okay. I love y'all, and we'll see.
He's going to private message you real quick if he's still awake.
He's in bed by now. We'll see you next week, man. Have a good one, and
yep.
Yeah, man. DCS out.
Yep. DCS out. We're going to leave you, though, with the Sawyer Massacre trailer. Check this out. Wait for the movie October 21st. And have a good night, folks. We'll see you next week. Woo!
Here we are, boys. My uncle's cabin.
Not bad, Brant. What about AC, though?
How do you think he's doing?
Jimmy really needs this weekend, man.
So, Jimmy, what's this soul searching you're doing?
That's something personal happened to me a few months back.
Jimmy, I'm so sorry.
We got ourselves a little setback.
Just leave me out of it.
Do you have any food here?
You guys are hungry, huh?
What do you sell in your store?
You're gonna have to go see my grandpa.
Where is he?
Hey, he's not far. He's got everything you need.
Girls, stay close.
This is the place.
Is this somebody's too? Adeline, put that down.
Brant, is that you?
This is my house.
Hey, what are you doing now?
What the hell is he wrong with that?
We have to go.
What do you want?
You're very strong. You won't die. Yet. Get away from her.
I need you to save your strength, okay? I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, Allie.
Hey!
Hi, this is Danielle Harris, and you're watching Death Curse Society.